Welcome to the Security Cocktail Hour. I'm Joe Patti.
I'm Santa Claus.
You're Santa Claus. Well, why aren't you wearing your hat here?
I don't have a security cocktail hour hat.
Well, I have an unofficial Santa hat. It's not a Security Cocktail Hour hat, but I'm not going to wear it because I just got a haircut the other day for the show, and I'm vain. What can I say?
Me too. I got a haircut for the show too.
I can tell. All right, it is our holiday episode, as you might have guessed, and we're continuing our tradition for the second year of having a holiday episode.
Can we be transparent here?
Absolutely, always.
Thanksgiving hasn't even happened yet.
Don't you remember we're supposed to be using like movie magic here, not telling people when we record things and how long it takes us to get things out?
Oh,
Okay,
boy,
we're being
man, it
transparent.
was, I am full from all that turkey.
That's right. There we go. That's the spirit. Okay.
Let me bring, oh, wishbone. Ah,
Okay, but a little business first. Everyone, remember, please, if you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe and turn the notifications on and comment. We love comments, especially comment on this episode because we're going to tell you a lot about how holiday scams. We want to know if you're finding them useful. Follow us on Spotify and other podcasting platforms. Just generally, you know, engage us. We need engagement, Adam. We got to
well,
get that algorithm going
we're
for
getting a
us.
little bit of hate mail, like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? So we're getting there.
That's true. We did have the guy who said he wants 30 seconds of his life.
Yeah,
Something. I like that one. Maybe
I
we should
sent
have
them a
him on
gift
the
card for
show.
Amazon. 30 seconds of your life back.
That's pretty good. I think we should do that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, you know, the holidays are coming up.
Yeah.
You want to get your significant other or family member a gift. What would you get them?
You know what I can think of? Something that will keep security on their mind all year round, like a security cocktail hour coffee mug. I
Ooh.
think that's a great idea. You've got the
Or,
same thing. Or what else could they possibly want? Or a sticker. We got
no,
lots
it's
of
not a
stickers.
sticker. This is a
Oh, that's the
security.
patch.
That's the patch.
Well, your internet stinks. I'm getting a lousy picture from you.
Are you really?
I can
I'm
tell
getting
you.
a great picture of you and me.
Yes, an official security cocktail hour patch. Awesome.
You can put
And
it
it's
on
got
your
the
backpack.
Velcro on the back, right?
Yes.
So it can stick it to stuff.
And in case you want to write something, you get a pen.
You got to not cover the logo with your finger when you show stuff. You see, we're
Uh,
not like merch professionals here or
it's
anything.
amateur night. What do you want from me?
It's a quick shirt.
I drank too much
And
from Thanksgiving.
I guess so. And and we got the holiday M&Ms. That's right. So we got
Scan the
two
QR
meals
code.
covered. You can have coffee in your coffee mug, and you can have dessert in your M&Ms. And Adam is modeling a piece of the wardrobe for us, a polo shirt in the traditional security black.
So hopefully by the time you watch this episode, we'll have our store hosted on our website, and you can buy a couple of things. You help support us, support you.
That's right. We're not making a fortune off this. In fact, we're not making anything
Not
off
like you were
this.
losing money.
We're trying to, if we're losing money, we're trying to cover some expenses here. So come on, help us
And if
out.
you and you can gift us too. You can turn around and sponsor an episode if you're interested in that as well.
That's right. We'll take money. I'll put something on your answering machine.
And this is all about, let's not get scammed for the holidays. What we're asking you to do or buy gifts is not a scam, actually.
No, yeah, that's right. It's not a scam. This is real stuff. We
I'm going
we
to eat
got
some
it.
M&Ms, by the way. Go ahead.
You're not supposed to eat the merchandise. See?
I am now.
Wow. Okay. So anyway, this is our special holiday episode. And like the last one, we're going to talk about scams. So we're going to do something a little bit different. And here's why. You have seen that movie, The Beekeeper, right?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, it's not like it's 30 years old. You should have remembered it. It's just like fairly recent.
I'm not even 30 years old.
That's right. I forgot. Forgot about that. Anyway, so if you've seen The Beekeeper, it's about the whole thing starts off with a scam where, I don't want to give the whole thing away, but it starts at the thing that precipitates the whole action stuff. It's a revenge story where someone gets scammed and the guy then goes like old John Wick on the scammers and everyone involved, which is actually pretty entertaining if you like that sort of thing. The scam part of it believe it or not, is pretty realistic. Not actually the organization. They Hollywooded that up, right?
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know, yeah, yeah. Well, look, they got the scammers as like, these guys, they're in this place with like, all neon and screens, and they've got a runway stage, and the guy's all dressed, like, I don't know, like a fancy guy or something. Not an office in the country that we don't want to name, where people are toiling like serfs. But anyway, that part a little less realistic. But the realistic part was the way they scam someone and the way they show them, getting the person's money. What was That was pretty real, don't you think?
Okay.
Pretty.
Well, I feel like I should have some security cocktail hour popcorn to listen to this.
We'll have to make some up. Yeah. Now you think of it. Oh, that's right. You're chowing M&Ms. I don't want to interrupt you if anyone's
Go ahead.
listening on video. If anyone's here and listening on audio only and like, getting that yucky sound coming from Adam, it's him chewing. I guess I should edit that out. Sorry if
No,
I
no,
miss
leave
it.
it there because they're gonna hear it. They're gonna want M&Ms.
They're gonna not want M&Ms when they hear it. I don't know. Okay, but anyway, so it is somewhat realistic and interesting that the actual scam that they perpetrate, and it is perpetrated, unfortunately, on an elderly person and a person who does not know very much about these things. And so, what we figured was that, Adam, you and I know all the scams for the most part.
I don't want to sound cocky and arrogant. I don't know all the scams, and
We don't know all of them.
I'm also capable of being scammed too. I mean, everyone thinks like, oh, well, guess what? These guys, they talk about scams. They're not going to get scammed. Everybody is vulnerable. Everybody. So everyone's got to be on guard. You really
Yeah.
do.
Well, you're absolutely right.
Well,
Um, you know,
let me just bring this up. One quick thing. I was looking at LinkedIn, I think yesterday or today, and I saw
okay.
that one of the CEOs of a threat intel company was sitting at a dinner table with one of his colleagues from his organization, I believe,
Well,
and it said, "Hey, this is blah blah blah. I need you to reach out to me. Can you reach out to me as soon as possible?" And then the gentleman picks up the phone, looks at him across the table, and says, "You just texted me." He goes,
oh, really?
"Yeah, yeah. It's a
Wow.
well-known
That's
threat intel
great.
company that you and
Oh,
I
that's
know.
cool.
We used
That's
before."
cool. Did he fall for
Um, he was sitting right there.
it? But well, we don't know. We don't know all the scams, but we know the classics, and we're kind of up on the newer ones, as I believe much of our audience is, because our audience tends to be people who are kind of interested in security and are into this stuff. You're using the wrong mug. That was a Mickey Mouse mug. There you go. That's better. Plug the merch and don't get us a copyright strike, please. Okay. Anyway, our our audience tends to know about these things, but one thing you may not realize is you probably know a lot of people who don't, and a lot of people close to you, perhaps, and you'd be surprised what people fall for. What we may think is very natural and obvious is not so obvious to other people, and that's why they work, and that's why they keep plugging it. So,
Well, I want to add something there, right? You can be obvious about the scam, and you can know there is a scam, and still be scammed even though you weren't scammed. What, Adam? What did you just say? I'll give you an
that's very
example.
metaphysical, but
I'll
anyway,
give you an
go on.
example. My mother-in-law, she basically hung up on somebody that was scamming her, kind of scamming her, trying to scam her. They sent something unsolicited in the mail, the U.S. postal mail. Uh, Unbeknownst to us, we signed for it, and then the scammers used that as proof that that my mother-in-law signed a contract when she never did. They said, "Look, here is the signature of her accepting the contract, not the signature on the contract, the signature of accepting the paperwork in the mail." So, and my point is people manipulate other people into believing that this is accurate and this is real. So while my mother-in-law might not necessarily been a part of that scam per se, uh, she was a little bit, but now you're being manipulated. So if you get something in the mail unsolicited and you're like, "Oh my God, what is this?" and you sign for it, that organization can say, "Well, they received the paperwork. I can't send you the paperwork because it's confidential, but I can show you that they did receive it, and some people might accept it as proof. So
Yeah, some people might, or they may think that they've committed themselves to something, which we will say as usual, we are not lawyers, but I'm pretty sure that if you sign to accept a package, you're not accepting the contractual terms of any documents within, or
except when you
however you would
buy a
say it.
baseball ticket to a stadium and you're accepting the fact if you get hit in the head, they're not responsible.
Yeah, it's a sad commentary that that needs to be a legal contract for people to realize that. But that's another show.
We're gonna talk about baseball in another show.
Well, eventually, but baseball season's over, and
Okay.
I don't want to talk about the Yankees.
How did the
I do
Yankees
not want
do?
to talk. I don't want to talk about it. Put it that way.
Okay, sorry.
I, I've I've moved on to the Giants. My sorrow needs to go somewhere.
Wait, that's the New Jersey Giants, right?
Yeah, they need to blame everything on Jersey. It's all that chromium out
Well, let
in
me
the
ask you a question.
Meadowlands
Are
where
you
they
guys
play.
giving? I'm smelling smoke from you guys. The wildfires are coming over here.
May mine. It's really dangerous. Okay, now everyone knows when we're doing this, but yeah, it's been very dry and
Boy,
there
it's
have been
cold
some
out with
serious
so much
fires.
snow.
Oh, yeah, that's right. More turkey. Okay. Anyway, so let's start with the hot stuff, with the new stuff. And we've talked about AI a lot on the show and AI scams, but this is when they're going to ramp up, don't you think? We've talked a lot about the voice and video cloning, which kind of is sort of like the scam you were talking about, but even taking it to the next level of, that's actually what I was thinking of. Were you going to say that there was like a video of the guy sitting next to him, supposedly calling him, and it looked real? That would be crazy.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? I think if I understand correctly, there's a new malware for your phone. When you go to call out to your bank, unbeknownst to you, redirects it to a different phone number. I forgot what malware that
Really?
was, but like you're calling, I'm calling Chase, and meanwhile it's calling the fake Chase. It rediverts the numbers now.
That's terrible. That's really
You
bad.
don't even know you're being scammed, and you're being scammed because you're being scammed.
Well, you don't even know it, and you may be doing the things that we always tell people to do, like call the number on the back of the credit card. Don't click a link or anything. But if they've managed to reroute you on your phone, oh, that's nasty.
So like the old Kevin Mitnick trick. Unfortunately Kevin Mitnick passed away, but his one of his things was, they send you an email or a text. You call the number on the text, and then when you call it, it's actually really calling Chase, but they do a man in the middle attack. So, ding, 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 you're in violation. We found that somebody's using your credit card illegally. Please call this number. So, not every number is visible because some numbers are like the Ford hotline. It might not be the regular Chase number or the regular city number. It's the
Mhm.
Chase Ford hotline or city hotline. You end up calling it. But what this would do is do a man in the middle attack. As you're calling, they use an asterisk to grab your digits. So you call, you put your account number, you put your PIN number in, whatever you're doing, and it says you have $1,537.63, and you're like, yeah, I really do. Thank God nothing happened. You hang up. Now they got your digits. They call back Chase themselves, and now they're in your account.
Oh, that's that. Okay, you got to explain what asterisk is.
Oh, I'm
We don't mean
sorry.
the little thing on the phone dial.
Go ahead. You explain it. You're better than me.
Asterisk is I don't know if they still call it a PBX,
Open source
but it's
PBX,
open source PBX, which means it's like
a phone system.
a free version of the phone system that you have in your office, and you can hook it up to the phone network. So you can have your own office phones or whatever. It's kind of becoming a little less used than in the past, but you can have that. And so these guys have figured out how to set up the call routing. So when you think you're calling Chase, but because of the malware in your phone instead doesn't call that number; it calls them, and then they connect it from there to the real place you're trying to get to. It's called a man in the middle attack. So you think you're talking to them directly, but you're not. And like Adam said, then these guys can trick you. They can get your credentials and your information and try to go to the bank themselves. That's a really nasty.
But it's
So
so
how do we?
simple.
It's simple in concept. It's not simple to execute.
Well, it's not terrible to execute. I mean, I bet you can download a free asterisk appliance already made to do a man-in-the-middle attack if you want to.
Yeah, but you got to get the malware on the
No,
phone
no,
too.
two different
That,
things. So the
yeah, yeah,
malware, unbeknownst to people, the malware is embedded in you're kind of poisoning the well. So you download something that you think is good. Like let's say you go to download ChatGPT, but you download ChatGPT, which is somebody else
yeah,
puts it into their
right.
store, and you're like, oh, cool, this is real ChatGPT. I'm using it. But meanwhile, in the white space or in the space where there's no code, it's executing other instructions to say to your like you allow permissions for anyone who has an Android phone. I don't know much about iPhone. You say allow mic, allow access to my keypad, allow access to my speaker, allow access to my contacts. Well, when you allow all this access, now this malware can do whatever it wants with it. It can listen to you. It can know the GPS if you allow that and everything else. So you got to be very careful of the permissions. But I guess what I'm really getting at is you got to be careful what you add to your phone because just because it's something that actually works, it doesn't mean that there's nothing nefarious within it as well.
Yeah, that's very true. And iPhone does very similar things. When you get an app and it wants to use the camera, the mic, whatever, it asks you the first time. And we'll give you the same advice we've given people for years on stuff. Don't just say yes. If it seems like this thing has nothing to do with that, don't do it. Or even if it is something like you think it's ChatGPT, it has this really cool voice thing. Well, if you're not planning on using it, just don't give it access. You can always change it later.
Well, I'm laughing because I remember back in the day before there was a real flashlight function built into the phones, you had to download a flashlight app to turn on the flashlight. Do you remember that on your phone?
I
Well,
remember even before that. Do you know where they got that idea?
where?
I think it was in the New York blackout of like 2003, whenever
Yeah.
that was. And it was before even smartphones, I think. And people like were stuck on the subway or stuck in a tunnel or something. And they were taking even their flip phones and opening them up and using that light, just that light to find their way.
So the
So
point I'm making, which is the funny part about it, right? The point I'm making is that when you downloaded the flashlight app back in the days when it first came out, do can the flashlight app have access to your GPS? Can the
yeah.
flashlight app have access to your microphone? Can the flashlight app access to your wait? Why does my flashlight app need access to my contacts? So think about it logically. If you're downloading something and it's a recipe program and it's saying I want access to your microphone, think about it logically.
But you need to be vigilant too, because sometimes you will be downloading something and using it where, maybe it's a photo app. So it needs to get access to your camera. It's like, well, then it's a little trickier. So be careful what you download. What else do we have? Yeah,
Well,
we got.
I was gonna say a lot of people are traveling these days,
Mhm.
and when you're traveling, you tend to use a lot more tolls. There's a big thing with Easy Pass. People are texting you saying you're in violation, and you need to fix these tolls really quickly. So be careful. Go into your Easy Pass app. Don't click on a link. Most of the time, most people are not going to text you with, "Oh, you have an issue." If you haven't gotten an Easy Pass violation text before, you're probably never going to get one in your life unless they enhance it. So be
Yeah,
very
that's right. If,
careful.
if you if you've been on vacation in Europe and EasyPass tells you just got a toll violation, either someone's stolen your car or it's a scam. But there's another thing you can do too, because one of the reasons they do stuff like that,
Sorry,
it's like
more M&Ms.
no, I'm good, thanks. One of the reasons they do stuff like that is they probably don't know you have Easy Pass, but they figure, well, in New York, New Jersey, probably on the East Coast,
Pray and
virtually
spray.
everyone does. Yeah, pray and spray. They're just hitting everyone. And at the holidays, those get particularly effective because with the package delivery stuff, because everyone's getting packages from Amazon or many other places. And so that's it. They just send it to everyone. And, you got to make sure you got to really look at it and say, is this what I really ordered? Go to the Amazon website And please tell your friends and your family the same thing, especially if, someone like an older person says, oh, I got this thing from Amazon. Even they ask, is this real? Something about, security or IT, whatever. Tell them, stop. Say, look into it. Don't accept all that stuff because people just will do it very naturally, and unfortunately, a lot of people, even if they haven't seen something like that before, they'll say, "Oh, this great new service, this is wonderful technology," and go for it. And they're not even thinking about whether it's real or not. So try to help people. We try to be helpful, right, Adam, and encourage
Well,
others to do the same thing.
so let's talk about sexploitation. I have a funny
Oh boy.
feeling that the people that send out the sexploitation emails, and I'll explain what that is in a minute, they need some money to pay for some of their family's gifts. So you're going to see probably a rise of those again. Sexploitation, for those people who don't know it, is they send you an email saying, "Hey, if you know this email, most likely this is how it's structured. It's coming from your own account. I've hacked your account, and I have access to your camera and your microphone. You've been very naughty lately. You've been doing things you shouldn't have been. Unless you want your family and your friends to see the pictures of you taking care of yourself, you better send Bitcoin to this address. You have 24 hours to do it, or naughty, naughty, I'm sending your emails to all your family."
Yeah, and it's fake. We don't like to say always will stuff, but with these things, 99.999 times fake. And I'll give you a little tip with that. I mean, people ask me all the time, is this really, well, professionally? And I used to joke around and say, well, what have you been looking at? You got anything to worry about? People don't react to that well. And it's probably not very helpful being a wise guy like that. I think it is much
Because
better.
a lot of people
Yeah.
probably do it. So,
Well, that's it. A lot of people do. That's why it works. So even if people are doing something naughty, it's virtually certain that it's not legit. And tell them that. Say, I mean, don't say even if you're looking at something that's bad. Say this stuff. It's not real. The odds of it being real are minute.
so what I do is I cover all um, my laptop cameras with a slide. It used to be like you had the sticker. I don't like the stickers, but I put it on top, and unless I'm using the camera, I cover it up. That gives you a little bit more, not perfect confidence that um, if somebody should compromise your computer for some strange reason. And keep in mind, people that are compromising you, it's either spray and pray or you're being targeted. And if targeting is another whole world, we're not going to even go into that. But spray and pray, you have to basically run an executionable or executable program, and you have to give it permission, and you have to run it. I'm not saying it's impossible; it's certainly possible to do, but you know, cover your cameras. You never know. Though I'm hearing now, I think they call them boot loaders. Boot loaders now is you go to the wrong website by mistake. I think you're talking about Australian cats or something. People are typing, looking for Australian something something something, and they go into this like website, and this boot loader is able to actually run and take passwords off your machine now. I saw that yesterday. So be careful the websites you go to. Also, it's a boot
Does
loader, I
that have
think.
any, does that have anything to do with covering your camera, or did you just move on?
I moved on. You know how I am. I'm a little. I
Ah, very
so
stream of consciousness,
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like a lateral movement from one malware to another malware. I apologize. This is just who I am
There,
sometimes.
there you go. That's right. It's like a lateral movement of hackers, or what we used to call being scatterbrained.
Well,
I'm,
yeah,
I'm,
well, it's most likely the second over the first.
no,
But
just
what I'm
kidding.
getting at,
Adam just has so much knowledge he wants to share. You
well,
want to get
or
it
so
all out
much,
at once.
yeah, so much empty knowledge. But what I'm getting at is just be careful. Be careful. Go to the trusted websites. And this is why we talk about um, what do we talk about? Like zero. We talk about uh, having zero trust. Like if we block everything and only allow what's right, people won't be doing this. But you're not going to have zero trust on your own machines. Too much to manage.
No. Well, look, even zero trust. We talked about it a little bit before. It is kind of a technique or an approach. People differ on what it means, but it basically means you don't inherently trust something just because something shows up on the network, whether when it's a person and they're coming from somewhere, or it seems like they're using a particular machine. You don't immediately assume they are who they say they are. And you know what? That's a very good thing to do in your life and encourage other people to. Now, we're not saying don't trust anyone. You have to trust people, but make sure that the person you're trusting or the entity you're trusting is who you think it is. That's what it's about.
And it's the same thing with websites. We all only probably go to maybe 100. I'm making this up, but 100 websites, 100 things in our life. We don't really go more than that. So if you're trusting only those 100 things, and then you block everything else, or not blocking, you're allowing only 100 websites, and everything else is basically blocked because you're not allowing it. Then you won't get in trouble. But too much work.
Yeah, but that's hard. And you know
Oh, it's
what
100% hard.
and you know what's funny too is when somebody the thing when even when you're doing stuff like that, you've got the camera permissions off or the mic permissions off. When it pops up and it says, "Oh, do you want to do this?" People say yes a lot without checking. So we try to encourage people to don't just click it, check first. Make sure it really is who you think it is to the best of your ability.
So let's talk about gift cards now.
Yes, the gift card scam is always a classic and a popular one. So go ahead.
I'm going to role play here.
Let's role play.
Hey, let's pick somebody. Hey, Jason, do me a favor. This is Adam. I know you're involved in the whole recruitment business to help us get more followers. We're looking to give out 5 gift cards at $50 each. I need you to go to CVS. I'll pay you when I see you. Go to CVS, pick up 5 gift cards for $50 each, scratch them off, take pictures of it so I can send it out to the people that won the contest.
That's right. And then I can be the recipient of it and say, this guy wants a bunch of money and he's a friend of mine. And you know what? I snubbed him and didn't invite him to the holiday party. So I'm feeling guilty. So
Whoa,
I'm going
whoa.
to send him the gift cards.
You had a holiday party?
Just kidding. But seriously, what they will prey on is things like friendship. But we've talked about it before also. They'll also prey on, fear, like if it's your child or a parent or something. And that's something you really got to talk with your whole family about now is the scam thing that, we talk with Jen Gold too about having a code word to make sure, it's really them. But so that applies to the gift card scam and a lot of other things. And one of the twists on the holiday gift card scam is always going, but during the holidays, people send more gift cards. So you may see more stuff. And also, there's the gift card charity scam that I heard about. When someone says, "Oh, buy a gift card for charity," the charity, this is what they or do this. This is how we want you to donate to us. I'm not aware. I'm not an expert, but I'm not aware that most charities ask for gift card donations to Amazon or Red Lobster or something or wherever the hell it is.
How about the one where a woman goes into a store, an older woman, more of a senior? She was told that her electricity is being turned off, and if she doesn't pay for her electricity, which is, I say, $252, she's going to have electricity turned off. She walks into a store. She goes, I need X amount of dollars in gift cards. And then the people behind the counter say, don't do this. It's a scam.
Right.
No, no, no. I don't want to lose my electricity. The store owner sells the gift cards to the person, calls the police. The police show up. A police officer shows up, says to the woman, give me that phone. He goes like, this is Sergeant blah, blah, blah. Who are you? Oh, no, no. She had electricity to be turned off. He ends up saving her from giving the gift cards to the person. But if somebody's asking you to pay for something in a form of gift cards, it's probably not
Yeah,
good, you
that's
know?
right. The thing that's really tough about the gift card thing and a lot of other scams is that they do prey on fear, of like, we're going to turn off your electricity, or, in a job, it's your boss and you're worried you're going to get fired if you don't send them this stuff to help them out. And, during holidays though, it's especially tough, on the elderly. people who, they're going to prey on your love of your family. Maybe they're very insecure. The economic times are a little tough, and it's really hard to protect against that. And probably one of the few ways is to just talk to them about it and just say, hey, be on the lookout for this. Please be
Proactively.
careful. Yeah, yeah, proactively before. So even if they start to fall for it, at least it's in their head. And then maybe if they do go to the store, when the clerk says, this is probably a scam, they're going to say, oh, maybe I heard this before from someone I trust, and this is real. Um, it's really a nasty thing.
My wife gets a WhatsApp message. Classic scam. Her her cousin's husband says, "I need you to send money to my son in another country. I'm unable to send the money from this country because they don't allow us." Classic scam. I said to my wife, "Ask that person to come on WhatsApp, turn the camera on." And we all know there's also deep fakes, but we can kind of vet that out.
They're not so prevalent, especially for something spontaneous like that.
Yeah.
Right now, it has to be well planned for them to use that kind of stuff.
So my wife has her cousin's husband get on WhatsApp. I think it's like 4 in the morning where they are. And he gets on and goes, "Yeah, it's really me. I really need you to send the money. Western Union does not allow us to send money from this country to this country." It was legitimate. So
Well,
it
they're
wasn't a
crazy
scam, it
countries,
was
but
real,
anyway.
but
Sometimes it is.
seemed like so much it was a scam. But the point here, the moral of the story is just vet the person. It takes only a couple of minutes sometimes, not all the time. Go on WhatsApp, go on camera, call the person the number you know. If it's originating from the number you know, just because it originates from the number you know doesn't mean it's not a scam. That means somebody
Right.
could have taken over that account, but have them go on WhatsApp, have them go on video, have them answer a question like, where did we go in the summer of 2000 or where did we go in the summer of 1968? That's when I was about 50 years old. But if you can ask a question and get an answer that you think only that person knows, then you vetted the person.
Right. And also see if it makes sense. I mean, that's a really good thing there because, if I got that, 99% of my family is in New Jersey. We're so worldly. It's like, if my cousin calls me or something and says, oh, I'm in some country that they don't accept Western Union from, I think, really, is that like,
Oh,
what the
this
hell are
is
you
real.
doing there?
But like his, and that's the other scam, right?
Yeah,
Um,
but it's real for you, but it wouldn't be real for me.
no, I know,
That's
but like here's the other scam, right? All these scams come up during the holidays, even though they're not holiday scams. Um, Joe Jr. got into a car accident and he's being held by the police, and he needs $500 for bail. Go buy 10 gift cards at $50 and send it to this location.
I'll tell you what I like. I do like and I think we've talked about this before. Maybe I did a short on it, but I like the tap to pay stuff. I love using my phone and not having to take out my wallet, and it is really secure, more so than the old slide things. Skimmer doesn't work, and I think even if you tap, whatever, if the card's got the chip, which I think most do now,
You have a
that's really
certificate on it.
helpful. Yeah, it has some cryptography and stuff, but I love the phone. I especially love the phone. Well, it's not a holiday thing, but I especially love the phone now on the subway, and I think every agency has it now, where you probably got your phone out and you're looking at it anyway, where you just tap the thing. You don't have to take out your wallet or get your card or
Yeah,
do anything like that. That's cool.
somebody said, "Oh, yeah, tap to pay so we can steal your information." Okay. Look, you can steal your
No, it's better.
information
It's
so
better than
many
using a credit
ways.
card number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can scam and take people's information so many ways. You have to do what's comfortable for you. I also realized if you have tap to pay and your phone is stolen from you by force and your phone is unlocked, they can do whatever they want to do. I get it.
Well,
I've heard all the counter arguments to why they do this and why not to do this. Look, all you have to do is do the best you can to have situational awareness. Keep your phone locked when you can. Force it to lock almost within a minute or two. If somebody steals your phone, you're still alive, hopefully, right? So you got to weigh the good and the bad.
well, it's all about risking making decisions. But but the thing is now, these a lot of the newer methods of things, like like the tap to pay, like the phones and everything. it really is just as easy or easier than the traditional methods. And, look, I encourage people to use it. I use it myself. And, I try to encourage my family too. It's like, I know you got to set it up, and I know it may seem a little daunting and real, but once you get it set up, it's so easy. It really is easier. And,
Well, the tap to pay
that's
is
it.
also good. And I know this is going to be an argument too, and someone's going to ask me for their 30 seconds of their life back. But you can use tap to pay for your kids. If your kid, because the kids carry their phone all the time. God forbid they need money for food, assuming that you can afford it, right? Like you give your kids access tap to pay. You can watch what they're buying, and you can also see, and if they need something in a sense of urgency, they can do it. Hopefully, they'll practice, you know, uh, good health and hygiene with the phone, and hopefully they won't do anything nefarious because most kids really won't if you teach them right. I was saying train them is horrible. Teach them right. Tap to pay is
Well,
good.
there is a certain amount of like, you need to teach your kids, but you also need to train them. If you give them something, you should be training them to use it correctly. I mean, we talk a lot about, we often focus, or I say about the family, watch out for the elderly, but your kids too. These kids, they're tech savvy and that they're, digital natives or whatever they call, they're used to these phones. They're used to all these things working. But one of the things that surprised me is that, when Adam and I were kids, if you had all these gadgets and everything, you're usually pretty tech savvy and you knew how they worked and you knew something about them. Um, I know my kids know nothing about technology. They have phones, they use them, they do all this stuff, they play video games and all, but they do not know how it works, which means they also don't know about a lot of these scams. So, if you're going to give them this gear, and especially if you're going to give them payments, I mean, I just had to sign my daughter up for something, and I said, look, you need to be careful with this. You don't just give it to anyone. You only give it to reputable places. You call me if you're not sure. You got to tell your kids about that stuff.
Well, like I'll tell you an example, right? About 3 years ago, my wife went to go buy flowers for somebody, and they did it by mistake because they recognized it. Instead of typing $55.51, they typed $555.51. They realized it, they canceled it, but it takes 24 hours sometimes for it to come off too. And that's the other thing. I I personally recommend do not use debit cards most of the time.
Yeah.
Use your credit cards and then pay your credit card as soon as you can within 24 hours because this way you have insurance over, God forbid, that the payment that you made is wrong, or that or the product that you got or service is wrong, and you can dispute it. I also realize counter to that, people like using debit cards sometimes and cash because debit and cash, a lot of times people will not charge you extra fees. Just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Um, but you got to pick what you got to pick your poison. Do you want to not incur the extra fees for using the debit card because some people won't charge you for the debit or or cash, or do you want to protect yourself and use the credit card? If you use a debit card and somebody puts the wrong amount in, that money comes out of your account,
Yeah.
and then you
That's
got to
right.
fight it. So if you're paying mortgage, if by mistake they were supposed to charge you 500 and they charge you 50,000, and somehow or another that went through, which I don't have 50,000 in my account, by the way. Um, you lost that money until you get it back. You have to dispute it. So
If you
you're going
can.
to have to
Yeah.
bounce a lot of things for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been a fan of debit cards, and I am one of those people who doesn't like to pay credit card fees. But I do use the debit functionality with these things, but very, very sparingly, and only with places that I really know and that are really, trustworthy. So
Yeah.
be very careful when using it, please.
And I'm not looking to get into Europe versus America. A lot of places in Europe, they'll bring the credit card machine to you. They swipe it right in front of you, and you pay it right there. In America, they take your card to the back room or to the register. They have possession of your card. I've also been in places, even recently, where my card disappeared by mistake because they dropped it. and then they had to go look for it and find it. So like, oh, they put it into the folding thing where you had the receipt and you sign it. I'm like, where's my card? Oh, it was there. No, it's not there. So
Yeah. I
if
only
you give
tend to
your,
use my card in bars for some reason. It seems to be a problem there. I don't know
that
why.
happened to you, if I recall, remember. But the point I'm making is if your debit card disappears,
Yeah, you
then
got
your money disappears. If your credit card disappears, yeah, it's a little different now. The money's got taken out of the account. It's being added to your amount of credit you owe. And they both suck, but I'd rather have the cash still in my account and dispute the credit charged to my account.
yeah. The other thing too, though, Adam, is believe it or not, I know I a couple of years ago, first post-COVID trip to Europe, I was stunned and pleased to see how much they were using, the little machine that comes to you. I'm seeing that more and more here in the U.S. though. Even small shops, I guess they're starting to do that in restaurants and things. I think that's getting better, and I would encourage you to, well, you have a choice. The place either uses it or they don't, but that's a good thing.
Well, I went to a farmer's market in Ithaca, New York. My kid goes to school in Ithaca. And a farmer's market, keep in mind, there's nothing there. There's really no electricity. There's really no anything, no internet, no infrastructure. So what a lot of people are doing these days is they use their phone and they use the Square or other types of devices to ring up your stuff right there and then. So there's an advantage to doing that, but the problem for the problem for restaurants is it's not really per se networked with their point of sale. However, your phone is your whole entire cash register right there. So these days, a lot of independent people, when they're doing services, they go right to their phone, right to the Square, tap to go, and boom, you're paying the person there.
Yeah, Adam, I hate to tell you, but that's really not new. People with cell phones and a little shop or a
No, I
little
know that.
kiosk have been
I've had
doing
a
that for
Square
a
for
long time.
years, but it's more prevalent now than it was before because I'm seeing it more and more now that people are originally people were like, oh, let me send you an invoice, but now people are literally like, I'm seeing it. I haven't seen it as much in the past as I see it now. People are literally doing this more and more now because all these apps are out there, which is one of the reasons why we spoke about doing our store online, right? The PayPals of the world, now they accept other people's debit and credit, like the Zells and everything else. So what I'm saying is, once we set up our store, we can go to a place and start selling our clothes right there and go right through PayPal.
But Adam, that's well done. That is such a subtle reminder. Plug in the merch again. We're getting good at this.
Yeah. Well, if we were getting good at this, we would have 55,000 followers
Yeah,
and 20
we'd
of
be
our
doing even
episodes
better.
backed. But as a matter of fact, I just saw a message from one of our friends, Joe, and I asked, I said, do you want to have sponsor an episode? And he said potentially. So I got to
Hey,
keep
I'll
on
take
plugging.
potentially. That's something. That's movement. But so you're texting while we're recording the show.
No, I saw it pop up on my screen while
Oh, you
talking to
saw
you.
it pop up. Okay, of course. We're fully focused on what we're doing.
Hey, I'm trying to move stuff, moving and shaking here.
Move that merchandise. I'll tell you another thing to watch out for over the holidays with your family. That's not a scam, but it's kind of a funny story. Subscriptions. Very often you sign up for a subscription at the holidays and you think it's nice, and it's always auto renew. And they don't, have someone come and knock on your door at renewal time and say, "Hey, do you really want to renew it?" They make it as subtle as possible, and
Yeah,
can use what's called dark patterns, and that's when it's like really hard to unsubscribe, or you got to like call them or do something ridiculous to go. You got to watch out for that. But also watch out for buying things for your family. I mean, I'll tell you something funny happened with my dad a couple of years ago when Spotify came out. Got it, loved it, and we're not plugging Spotify because we're on Spotify, we're on everything else too. Get the Spotify thing, and then I realized I'm like, oh, it has virtually everything, and I'm like, oh, my dad, he's like all this old stuff, like Sinatra, big band, and all these things and all. I said he'd probably like Spotify, so I get him a Spotify account, not realizing at the time, probably not very intelligently, that I was going to be paying for it for the rest of my life because it ends up, he loves it. He says all the time, this is the best Christmas gift I ever got. And it's the gift that keeps on giving.
It's a bill that keeps on billing.
It's all right. It's the bill that keeps on. But it's from my dad. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Well, that
So
that
watch out for that
well,
stuff.
and you should tell your dad. Guess what I got you for Christmas? A Spotify subscription again.
Actually, you know what? I should remind him every year, like put on a little card or something, like get some points for that.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. All right. Well, Adam, I think we're kind of getting to last call, or at least my official security cocktail hour coffee mug is empty.
Well, my official security cocktail hour cup is empty. But
Okay.
speaking of security cocktail cups, get yours at a local retailer near you, or reach out to us at what email address, Joe?
You can reach us at feedback@securitycocktailhour.com. You can DM us on Twitter. We're at Cocktail Hour. We haven't posted to Twitter, but you can reach us through that. You can get us on Instagram. We post to Instagram or on LinkedIn if
Or
you're on
even on our
LinkedIn. We're
website, you
not,
can go to the chat.
that's right. We have a chat on the website. So we are easy to find, and we'll be happy to send you whatever you like.
Yeah, you should buy a dozen of these, give them out to all your friends, and help sponsor
Yep.
our podcast.
Or okay. So besides the shameless plugs, any other final thoughts?
Yeah. By the way, we have a secure. No, I'm kidding.
Don't overdo it. We've already overdone it.
Yes. Um, just be careful. Maintain situational awareness. Don't let people get near you because people will try to pickpocket you and take your card and take your access. And that's really it. Have a safe and joyful holidays.
All right, just be careful. Enjoy the holidays. Enjoy it with your family, and try to encourage your family to do the same. All right, Adam. This is always fun.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me go close my window. It's really cold out.
That's right. I'm gonna go out and shovel some snow. Yeah, there
Yeah.
we go.
Me too.
All right, take it easy, everyone.
Bye
Happy
bye.
holidays.